So in today's tutorial, I'm going to talk you through how to make this overlocker cover. Now I've just finished filming the video for the sewing machine cover as well. So if you have both a sewing machine and an overlocker, you can make a beautifully coordinating set for your sewing room. So the overlocker cover, I'll talk you through that now. At the front here you have two pockets, a fabric pocket and a mesh pocket. I like to put a mesh pocket at the front so that you can see what's in there for the smaller items. And then you've got taller pockets there for, I put a chalk pen and my cleaning brush and my tweezers. It's always good to have your tweezers close to hand when you're using your overlocker. And then on the other side, I've designed a thread catcher. So my overlocker machine doesn't come with a thread catcher. It has a little button and a hook there. Inside there you've got some shiny Lamifix. And the reason why I've put that in there is so that the threads don't get stuck and then you'd be kind of having to sweep them out. That just makes that easier to sweep out. And that thread catcher at the front there velcros off so that you can empty your threads. So with overlocking you always get those those offcuts, and that is just designed to catch them. So just the same as with the sewing machine cover, you've got a hole at the top of your handle so you can transport your overlocker and cover, and you've got some ties there at either side to keep it together. You've got a bound edge, it's quilted and made in that beautiful printed fabric. So just to show you how that works, I'm going to take my cover off. So you just undo the ties. Lay your overlocker cover out on your surface, and then when in use your overlocker can sit there on its mat and your thread catcher is just at the front there, ready to catch all of those offcuts of fabric and thread. So there's our overlocker cover. Now if your overlocker already comes with a thread catcher, and a lot of them do have those built into the front of the machine, then you could always replace this pocket, this catcher here, with additional pockets. So if you're going to do that, then what you could do is you could just extend this panel all the way along, and then you've got some pockets to put bits in, or you can keep this as a caddy for all your larger items. So maybe you've got some gathering feet or what have you, bits and pieces that come with your overlocker. They are quite bulky, so it's quite nice actually to have that large detachable keeper at the front to put everything in. So you can use it as a thread catcher or you can use it as a pocket. It's really up to you. So that's how our finished overlocker cover looks and how it's designed and what all the bits are for. Now I'm going to show you how to cut out and make your overlocker cover. So I've got my pattern here which I'm going to use. This is an original Flying Bobbins pattern that I've designed, and this is available as a PDF or paper pattern from flyingbobbins.com. So you can find that in the link in the description below. You can also buy a kit to make this, and the kit includes everything you need. So I've got this in a choice of 3 fabrics, and that includes your outer fabric, your lining fabric, your coordinating binding, your button, your Velcro, your net, and your Lamifix for the inside of this pocket, as well as the pattern, the written instructions, and the fleece and the thread. So literally you get everything you need in that kit to make your overlocker cover. Now the overlocker my overlocker that I'm making my cover for is the Juki MO654DE that I purchased from Sewworks. This is a brilliant overlocker. I absolutely love it. It's middle of the range price wise, so and it is such a good machine. It's really reliable. And the thing about this machine as well is it's very compact. So you might have, if you're making a cover for your overlocker, you might have a slightly larger overlocker. It might be wider this way. So I'm going, when you get your pattern for this project, I will put increments to cut to, grade lines to cut to for various different sizes of overlocker. But for today's demonstration, I'm going to use my overlocker, obviously. But yes, you could follow exactly the same tutorial, but just make your overlocker cover bigger to fit your particular machine. So there are a couple of measurements that you're going to want to take. The first one is the width of your overlocker at the widest part. So mine, including the dials at the side there, is about 30 centimetres, 29, 30 centimetres wide. If in doubt, you know, give yourself a little extra room. You can always trim down, and it's better to be slightly too big. You don't want to go massively too big, because then when you trim down, your pockets will get affected and won't be as big as they were. So yeah, take your measurement. Like I say, mine is about, including the dial there, 29 centimetres wide. And then you want to take your measurement over the top of the overlocker. And in order to do this, do remember that when your overlocker is stored, then this thread arm here needs to be in the fully down position. You obviously, when you're storing your overlocker, you are going to have this arm fully down. So if you have an extendable arm for holding your threads, make sure that you put that down before measuring. So mine's about 80 centimetres all the way across the top there. And I'm measuring from, you want your cover just to graze the ground here, and you want it to go all fully over to the back and down to the back again of your overlocker. So this overlocker cover doubles up as a mat, remember, with the thread catcher. So it's just tied at the sides and it just extends across the top like this. Now with my pattern, I allow a 2 centimetre seam allowance across the top, and so this does allow for a little bit of adjustment should you need to let it out if it's a bit too short. And of course you can always take it in via the top there if once you've made it it's a little bit too long and it's draping on the ground on your tabletop. But yeah, you take your width measurement and your across the top measurement just to get the overall measurement for your overlocker cover. And then the next thing you want to do is to cut out your paper pattern. Now, I mentioned earlier that my overlocker is quite narrow. Yours might be significantly wider, in which case you are going to have more pocket space. So I'm going to keep the thread catcher the same, but your pockets may extend wider, in which case you'll have more pocket space. You'll be able to divide them up, excuse me, divide them up into more separate pockets for storing even more goodies in. So because mine's quite compact, I've only got room for this pocket here, but you may have wider pockets. And on the pattern there will be lines to follow showing you which size to cut for your machine. So let's crack on with cutting out our fabric. I'm using quilter's cotton, and this is always pretty much 112, 115 centimetres wide. And in your kit, if you've got one of the kits, then you will have 70 centimetres of this quilter's cotton from which to cut your cover. So the first thing to do is to cut the main panels. Now obviously mine's narrow, so I've got a lot of spare fabric here, but yours may use up the full width here, and that's why you've got this extra bit of fabric up here to cut out the other bits that you may need to cut out. So we're just going to line that up nicely, and I'm going to cut that on the fold so I end up with 2 panels of the outer fabric, and then I can cut my ties and my gusset for my thread catcher out of this fabric as well. So if I used up the full width, I'd cut them out of this fabric here. So if you just work out what the best plan is, you should have plenty of fabric even for a larger overlocker cover. So we're going to pin those down, and then I'm going to use my rotary cutter to cut them out. You could also use scissors and pins if you wish. And if you do end up with a bit of spare fabric, that is great, because you could make yourself a little tool, pencil case, or maybe you could make some pattern weights or storage baskets, something else maybe for your sewing room that makes it look nice and pretty and coordinated. And I'm using the posy fabric here, which is really pretty and nice for the springtime. And there are 3 choices of fabric for these covers. One featuring sewing machines, one featuring Simplicity Vintage theme fabric, and this one here with the flowers. So those are my 2 outer fabric panels cut. Next I will cut out, in fact I'll cut out my ties. Now these ties, I know that they're 40 centimetres by 4 centimetres, and actually I will probably just slice 4 slices across, or I can do 2 slices across there because that's doubled. So I'll make life easy for myself rather than using the pattern. So if you prefer, just cut out the pattern, but if you have got a rotary cutter like this, it's sometimes easier just to cheat. So I know that's 4 centimetres wide, so I'll cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops. There we go. Quick and easy way of just doing those 4 pieces, but you can pin and cut with scissors if you like. So that's my 1, 2, 3, 4 ties there. And then from the remaining fabric, I can just cut 4 of these. Use my scissors just for the sake of variety. And I've got a nice bit of scrap left over, and I shall make something nice to go with my overlocker cover out of those scraps. So here's my lining fabric, and in fact I've cut myself 70 centimetres here, but I'm going to include 80 centimetres in the kit just so that you can lay this out like this if you wish, so that you've got plenty of space to keep everything facing the right way up and cut everything out that you need to. So I'm going to cut my 2 lining pieces here, and then I only need 1 each of the thread cutters and the pockets, so I'm going to cut those out of the remaining fabric there. There's my 2 lining panels, and then from the remaining fabric I can cut my thread catching pocket and my other pocket, just like that. Okay, the next is this little diddy pocket here, which is made of the netting fabric. It's the smallest of all the pieces. Oops. You can cut with a rotary cutter or your scissors. And you've also got an 80 centimetre piece of fusible fleece in your kit, so we can just fold that in half and cut the fleece from there. So you want to cut 2 of these, and then you want to cut 1 of your thread catcher pockets out of the fleece as well. So once again, depending on the size of your overlocker cover, you may have some spare. Just pin that down. And then lastly, you have this Lamy Fix, which is what's going to make the inside of your thread catching pocket nice and shiny. So you just want to cut, it rolls up a lot. This is a tricky thing to work with because it rolls up, but basically you want to cut out a square or a rectangle of that will cover the lining of your thread catcher. So that's going to be included in your kit as well, your Lamy Fix, which desperately wants to roll up. That's everything cut out. So let's talk about all the pieces that you should have ready. So you should have 2 lining pieces, 2 fusible fleece pieces, and then 2 outer fabric pieces. You should then have your 2 pocket pieces, or these are your 2 thread catcher pieces. One of those will get fused to the interfacing, the other one will be fused to your lamy fix, and that will layer up like that, and then fold in half to sit down here. Oops, in half the other way, thinking that doesn't look right. That's better. That's going to sit there like that. So you've got fabric, fusible fleece, fabric and lamy fix. They all fold in half to make your thread catch that goes here. You've got your Velcro, which will sit here to attach your pocket to your front of your cover. And then on the other side here, you've got your pockets. So you've got your fabric here, which will fold in half and sit there. And then you've got your net, which will sit at the front there to make your secondary pocket. Then you've got your ties, 2 for each side. You've got these triangular pieces which will sit in here to make the gussets for your opening up thread catcher panel at the front there. You've got your binding, which is going to sit all the way around the edge. The binding will also cover up the edge of that pocket there as well and go across the top of your net pocket. You've then also got your button, which will sit there, and the binding will come around the button to hold that closed when not in use. And then you have a thread to match your outer fabric and a thread to match your binding, because you want these stitches to be nice and neat. So you've given you 2 threads, one to match the fabric and one to match the binding. So that's everything that you need, all cut out and ready to go. So now for the fun part. We've done all our cutting out, we can start to make our overlocker cover.